Hi there, Michael Mann here with N to Z Toolbox, and I'm excited to bring you our newest video answering questions submitted by young professionals. And today's question is going to be around the all-important topic of money, which of course is vital to be able to effectively answer for every human being, but especially for people in their 20s, coming out of school, mid-20s, late 20s, trying to set themselves up for success in the finances over the course of their life. So our question comes from Nate, and he very simply asks, what should I do once I start making adult money? And then he says, investing versus saving versus tithing to the local church, etc., etc. And Nate, thanks for asking this because, again, this is such an important question. And so the first thing I would say in attacking this question would be you need to ensure in your 20s that you're able to cover your bills with the amount of money that you have coming in. I know there was a situation in my mid-20s where I was like, hey, I'm making some money. Instead of having a couple of roommates in a house I'm renting, I'm going to move into a different house and have a house to myself. Just me and my dog. We're good to go, right? The problem, of course, is that my rent more than tripled, and I pretty quickly realized, oh man, the majority of my pay is just being funneled now into my rent, and I hadn't adequately thought through, can I cover the bills needed with what I have coming in? And I had to emergency make some moves, make some decisions, consolidate some things, that sort of thing to keep my head above water. And so look at the amount you have coming in, look at what your expenses are, what they're going to be, and make sure that you have enough to cover your bills. Alongside this sort of becomes the next two things I would do beyond covering your bills. And the first one is saving. Even if you're just putting a small amount away, you want to not be living paycheck to paycheck, but be able to put away $20 or $50 or $200 month in, month out to where you build up a little bit of savings. To the point Nate made around tithing, sort of to be alongside saving would be giving. Giving to the local church, giving to a ministry, giving to a nonprofit, or for someone like my wife and my family, giving to the work of international adoption, right? Go ahead and get in the rhythm and the habit of giving and not just keeping 100% of what you have and what you have coming in early on. I think what people often can do is say, well, when I make more money or make X amount, then I'll start to give. But what happens is they increase their cost of living and it's never enough and they never get to that point of generosity. And that really can reduce your ability to impact others when you're not giving and in a mode and method of generosity. And again, start and cultivate that early like a muscle, and it'll be something you can continue to grow over the course of your life. So cover your bills, save, and then give. Save and give kind of be 2A and 2B on that one. The very next thing, and it's a close third to what I've already mentioned, would be go ahead and be putting away money into retirement and have it come out of your paycheck very first thing, of course. Even if it's just 1% or an amount that seems negligible, you will not notice that amount coming out, I promise you. And you can go ahead and get in that healthy rhythm and begin to build that up over time, increasing the percentage as you make more money in the months and years to come. For retirement, of course, a huge part of it is getting money in and invested early so that it can build and grow compound interest. You're not just putting away money that then is going to be the same amount you draw out in 40 years from now. You're putting it away and allowing it to build and grow so it's your money plus all the interest it grows. And interest over 30 or 40 years is a tremendous amount of money. And so again, put a little bit away earlier on. Don't worry about the amount necessarily out of the gates. And I've known people who've been extremely concerned about this. Even one person focusing on putting 30-something% of their check away, which was not sustainable. But just begin putting something away and allow that compound interest to begin to build and grow. And another recommendation with retirement, go ahead and have it be taxed now. Have the government take their tax amount on your retirement money out right now. One, so that when you retire, you'll know exactly how much money you have and you're not then going to be taxed by the government at that point in time. But secondly, no doubt the tax rates will go up in the next 30, 40, 50 years. And so if you have it taxed now, the government's going to be taking less from you than what they would draw out when you get to the point of retiring. And then the fourth piece of advice I would have in terms of sort of a flow down here of what to do with your money in your 20s would be to invest your money. So we mentioned savings and starting to build that up, but as quickly and as aggressively as you can without getting yourself into trouble, take that money and get it invested to where, again, it's building and growing interest and doing work for you. Money sitting in savings is basically just staying completely stagnant. The growth percentage on that is negligible for all intents and purposes. But if you can get your money invested, then it can grow and grow, and your savings isn't just sitting dormant, but it's building for you, and then it increases over time, of course. All right, 3 last things that I would say are things to avoid if at all possible, and avoid at all costs if you can. The first one is do not go and immediately start spending money. I've got a paycheck. I've got thousands coming in now. New wardrobe, new car, going on trips, all these different things, right? No, don't start spending a bunch of money, but be careful, be strategic, and be a little bit frugal, and begin to invest your money over into areas that are smart, as I've already mentioned, and not just in spending it away on ads that you see or things that you don't need, but that you're like, that's cool, I kind of want that. Be clear on the fact that businesses and advertisers' only job is to get you to buy the product that they are trying to sell so that they can get your money. Now, some of these businesses want to impact you and benefit your life through their product. Many don't. Many just simply want to make money. But either way, you have to be a grown-up and make a good decision and be the gatekeeper of your own finances. And so do not run out and start spending a bunch of money. The second piece of advice, and this is kind of similar, would be do not constantly, now or over the course of your life, increase your cost of living to exactly match what you have coming in. And this is a huge mistake people make, and a thing that people can really struggle with is with every $5,000 or $10,000 more dollars they make, they just add on something else, another purchase, another payment, whatever the case is, and they keep increasing how much they have going out almost in direct proportion with what they have coming in. And this is why people often feel stressed about their finances. They have marital or family conflict, which of course often leads to divorce. The number one cause of divorce is financial conflict in the home. And then they end up working extra hours or working a job or a role that is not fulfilling and not having a real impact on others. And they're just working more to make more to keep up with the cost of living that they themselves have increased. Keep that cost of living at somewhere reasonable and somewhere that covers your needs, and yes, allows for some fun and some purchases and all these kinds of things, but keeps it in the realm of wise and smart, and not just like a hamster running on the wheel trying to stay in the rat race. Beyond, don't go out spending and don't just constantly increase your cost of living. The last thing I would add in here is avoid debt at all costs, if at all possible. I'm not talking about buying a house. That's taking on debt, but you're buying an asset that you'll be able to own once you pay it off. I'm probably not also talking about buying a car if you need one. Again, that's an asset you own once you pay it off. Although you have to be smart about whether you really need that car or do you need a new car versus a used car. But beyond these two pretty basic examples, taking on debt, especially credit card debt and things like that, is extremely dangerous because you're not only digging yourself in a hole, but now you're paying extra interest to whoever you've borrowed money from or whoever you owe money to. And that's making the hole larger. People are able to leverage your need of money against you to grow their interest. And it makes perfect sense. There's nothing bad from them about it necessarily, but it is not in your best interest, of course, to take on debt. Debt can really sink a person. And if you can move through your 20s without taking on any real or significant debt, then you have a nice foundation to build on. If you have a little bit of savings, a little bit of that invested, a little bit going to retirement, you're keeping your cost of living reasonable, and your head is above water and not sinking down into drowning, you will be in pretty good shape. Now, you have to be really careful when you're talking about finances, because any one thing that I've just said, you'll find someone who will disagree with it. But I feel extremely confident about the wisdom of everything I've mentioned, and I've followed these practices over my life and over my years out of school, and have learned from others more experienced and more wise than me. Well, you of course could say, well, maybe you should do this or maybe you should do that. That contradicts what I'm saying. No person following the number of things I've mentioned here is going to get themselves into any kind of trouble. And again, there's smart and there's wise decisions, and then there's ones that are a little less wise. There's also making a good long-term decision, and then there's short-term decisions which seem like a great idea, but then can come back to bite you in the butt later on. And so everything we're talking about here is play the long game, look out ahead, and even think about impacting future generations by being able to pay for your kids' college, or leave an inheritance to your children or to your grandchildren, or leave more money for your spouse when you get older and if they outlive you, all these kinds of things. Our money isn't just ours and doesn't just impact us, but when we give, when we're generous, and when we make wise long-term decisions, it can be something that then has a ripple effect of positivity to the people around us. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me or drop a comment in here, and I'm definitely happy to address those. And we'll have another video or two probably over the course of the series addressing money, because it seems like a really clear and pressing need for those in their 20s. I appreciate you coming by and listening to this. I hope it's been clear, actionable, and helpful. And as always, thanks, and I hope you have a blessed and productive day. See you soon.